Welcome to Saturday Primetime, presented by H&R Block. You're watching the ACC on ESPN, and tonight it's Duke against North Carolina. Mike Krzyzewski, for the final time in his storied career, boarding the bus just outside Cameron Indoor Stadium. The short ride to Chapel Hill and the Dean Smith Center for the final time. Duke and Carolina under Coach K here in Chapel Hill. He's in the house. The house is alive for the latest chapter in this storied rivalry.
I'm really out for blood this time. Look,
we're gonna be ready. You be ready.
Jealousy is a mirror.
To Carolina, it always delivers.
To be great, you have to be hated.
You can feel the tension in the air.
But a lot of people who are great are not hated.
This is the greatest rivalry in basketball.
This is love. This is hate.
All you have to do is say Duke Carolina and everybody understands it.
This is passion. This is legacy.
Feel the unbelievable intensity.
Carolina versus Duke. Fresh blood versus historic blood. Blue bloods. Now.
You're watching ESPN's Sonic Blockbuster, and there is not another blockbuster in the sport quite like this one. North Carolina, full house, tough to get in, and their beloved Tar Heels in search of a huge victory for their resume, but mostly a victory in this rivalry. The final walkout for Mike Krzyzewski was the subject of some discussion about what the reception would be like, almost as if Coach K welcomed the healthy chorus of Blues, booing him vociferously, but some cheers mixed in as well, in a rivalry that is filled with contempt, but also sprinkled with a healthy dose of respect for the great accomplishments that both programs have had. Glad to have you with us, Duke and North Carolina, alongside Jay Billis. I'm Reese Davis, sitting in tonight for Dan Schulman, and certainly it is meaningful, Coach K's final time on this stage in this arena.
It's the greatest rivalry in all of sports. He has been, if not the greatest coach in the sport, certainly one of them on the Mount Rushmore. But this is a different game. It's for first place in the ACC, but when Duke and Carolina get together, you don't have to say anything more. We will, but you don't have to.
Mike Krzyzewski arrived earlier today. Our Holly Rose able to spend some time with the Duke head coach.
Well, Coach, of all the times you've made this 8-mile drive to this venue, tonight's a little different. What were some of the thoughts and feelings as you made that ride?
Well, first of all, focus on the game. I try to focus on the moment, but whenever I come, especially this last time, I have to think of Dean Smith and what a amazing man he was and what he taught me in competition and the culture he built here, and I learned a lot from him, and we had some amazing contests, and it's so appropriate that this building that is named after him, and so I was thinking a lot about him.
You are facing your fifth different coach tonight, Hubert Davis. You know well because you've tried to stop him. What advice would you give a young coach for his first time in this rivalry?
Well, I think with any coach, you have to be yourself. You can take good things from a lot of different people who have coached you or you've worked with, but at the end of the day, you have to be you. And John Shire will find that out next year. Hubert's finding it out now, and they're both unbelievably gifted basketball minds, and they were great players. So I think they're both going to be pretty good coaches.
Tonight's important, trying to get to the top of the ACC standings. What's the focus of your group? Not on you. What are you asking your kids to focus on in the rivalry?
Well, to beat a really hot and good North Carolina team, they're averaging 95 points a game in the last two games. 14 made threes. Our main emphasis is to limit them offensively so that we have an opportunity to maybe come out with a win.
Thank you, Coach. Have fun tonight.
Thank you.
Closing in on tip-off from the Dean Smith Center tonight, the latest chapter in this blue blood passion play between North Carolina and Duke. Tip-off just around the corner.
They say success is the best revenge. I just came back for the win.
Stakes are always high for Duke and North Carolina. That is certainly the case again tonight. This crowd is ready to go. You see how even this series has been over the years. They've split the last 100 meetings, Jay, 50 apiece, separated by 12 points. And we have two of the top players in the ACC and the nation going head-to-head.
Well, Reese, this is a game where it's not good enough to come ready to play. You have to come ready to fight. And the fight is going to be down in the paint in large measure. And Paolo Banchero for Duke. North Carolina doesn't really have a natural matchup for him. He is 6'10". He's physically imposing and very, very skilled. So if they put Brady Manek on him, he's going to try to drive by with a quick move. If Leaky Black is on him, he'll try to take him down into the low post. Over the last 8 games, he's averaging 19 points and over 10 rebounds per game. And Armando Bacot has been magnificent over the entire season. He's averaging close to 13 rebounds a game. But he's averaged over his last 18 rebounds a game. He's going to be a huge key because he can run the floor. He's got an unbelievable motor, and you have to keep him off the glass as best you can. It's easy to say. It is really hard to do.
He leads all power conference players in double-doubles. Holly Rowe joining us now. Hello, Holly.
Hey there, guys. Well, it's Coach K's last game. It's important to celebrate that it is Hubert Davis' first game as the head coach. He was involved in one of the most memorable games ever in this rivalry history 30 years ago today. 1992, the #1 team in the country rolled into town, Duke. But it was a bloody game. Eric Montrose with the famous blood dripping down his face. Hubert Davis was the leading scorer in that game with 16 points. He closed out his career as a player 6-5 against Duke. And when I asked him how special it was that this game and his first against Duke as head coach was tonight, he said, listen, Holly, I'm 51 and a half. A lot's happened since then. The only thing I really remember from that game is that they rushed the floor. Maybe North Carolina will have a chance to do it again tonight in his debut as head coach.
And Holly, that was certainly one of the memorable games. You were in the arena. You're on the Duke staff when they rushed the floor that night.
Yeah, I was a grad assistant, and Coach K blamed me for the game plan that lost the game, so it's my fault.
Energy pulsating through the arena. Mike Krzyzewski looking on as the Tar Heels starting lineup about to be introduced.
Brady Manek for North Carolina. He will be a key because of his ability to pick and pop, coming off a 24-point game against Louisville. The transfer from Oklahoma can really shoot it.
And there is Armando Bacot, you were talking about earlier. He's been a stalwart inside. Blaze Harden's expanded his game. One of the things Hubert Davis talks about, though he has expanded his ability to shoot, he hasn't gone away from the things that have made him a tremendous player in the earlier parts of his career.
A front runner for ACC Player of the Year, and Leaky Black, the best perimeter defender on this North Carolina team. He will have a lot of responsibility in this game. And over his last 4 games, he has shot the ball extremely well. He's averaging over 9 points per game during that stretch.
And there is Hubert Davis for 9 years, an assistant coach to Roy Williams, and deeply ingrained in the history of this rivalry from his playing days. As Holly mentioned earlier, he had great games as a player, and sitting right next to Roy Williams in the previous 9 seasons. And moving just slightly over, but a world away, as they say, being the head coach after being a top assistant.
And North Carolina has a different look this season, not just in their head coach, but in the way they play. A lot of perimeter spread ball screens. They're going to try to go after Paolo Banchero, make him guard out on the perimeter, and stretch the floor.
Once upon a time, this crowd was called Wine and Cheese. They don't know what they're talking about. Not for this one, not tonight. As we are ready for tip of our Sonic Blockbuster matchup. Both number 5s carrying the fate of their teams. It'll be Bacot against Big Mark Williams to jump it up. And Duke controls. Jeremy Roach with the ball.
North Carolina starts out in man-to-man. And immediately Armando Bacot on Banchero.
Banchero's first shot puts Duke on top.
Banchero needs to be decisive when he catches the ball and has a matchup that he can go after. Doesn't want to play with the ball. Just make a quick move, shot, or drive.
Leaky Black, who's found his shooting range of late, didn't miss a shot against Louisville, but was wide on that one. Banchero almost got caught in the air. Wendell Moore and Roach, who's done an exceptional job distributing the ball and taking care of it. And a three on the way, and the bottom is found from A.J. Griffin.
A.J. Griffin has been one hot player. He was 5 for 5 against Louisville, had 22 in that one. When he gets an open look, he's the only Power 5 player this year that's shooting over 50% from three.
Bacot gets the heels on the board.
When he sets a screen and rolls hard from the basket up top, that is hard for big guys to keep up with.
Banchero for three.
If Bacot is going to help that much off a pick and roll out of a horn set, that's a long recovery to Paolo Banchero. It's a tough matchup for North Carolina to stick with Banchero.
That was one of the themes coming in. Would North Carolina be able to find a matchup for Banchero? He has 5 quick points out of the gate. R.J. Davis with a three.
Well, Carolina can't find the mark early. R.J. Davis not going to get much more open than that.
Shooting 43% from three on the season. After Griffin made that first one, he's over 50. Good closeout from Black to keep Griffin from firing up another.
And stayed on the floor with that shot fake while he was closing out. Carolina icing that side ball screen, trying to keep it to one side.
Banchero again. Tar Heels trying to beat the Duke defense in transition. They think that's an area they can take advantage of, and Caleb Love had a tough night shooting against Louisville, misses his first.
Well, those step-in threes, those are good shots in transition. You can work a whole possession, not get a shot that easy.
Bacot goes in the air, and Mark Williams finishes, and he'll have a chance for a three-point play.
Boy, Mark Williams has been such a presence for Duke, especially on the defensive end, but his offense has been a huge boost. His last 6 games averaging 13 points, 9 rebounds, 3.5 blocks. Just got an angle, was able to just drop step and get to the other side of the rim, shot fake, and once he got Bacot in the air, he was able to draw the foul and finish.
Williams also a very soft touch at the free throw line, better than 70%. Finishes the three-point play, and Duke's up by 9 quickly.
Carolina going to have to handle pressure. The pressure release is a backdoor.
Brady Manek gets a look. Love off the tap back. He can't get it to go. Manek with the tip, and Banchero pulls it away for the Blue Devils.
Carolina's getting opportunities. They're just not hitting them. They've had open shots.
Jay, they've really been shooting well from three of late. Started a little cold, a little tight the first few moments, and Bacot charging out, picks up his second foul before the media timeout.
It's just a really tough matchup for Armando Bacot to have to guard out on the perimeter, and that was a foul. But look, he has to close out and then move his feet to try to stay in front, bumped him, and it was an easy call for the official. And it's clear that Paolo Banchero wanted to go after Armando Bacot, make him guard on the perimeter.
Puff Johnson just into the game, and Griffin overpowers him off the inbounds play, and Duke's up 13-2.
Well, Carolina's giving up some baskets. It would look a lot different if they could knock an open shot down. The question now is, to whom does Carolina go for a score? Got to switch.
Is it Manek? It is.
Manek will always set a screen and pop to the three-point line. If you switch, you have to pick him up first.
Deflected by R.J. Davis out of bounds. He'll remain on this end with the Blue Devils. So Manek has now hit 18 of his last 36 three-pointers with a noted sharpshooter when he played at Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's his 50th three on the season. Carolina's got 3 guys that have made 40 or more threes on the year. And A.J. Griffin, what a boost he has been now that he's healthy. He missed about a year and a half with injuries before he got to Duke, and it took him a while to get into the lineup, but he has solidified his position.
There's Caleb Love, who had 2 outstanding games against the Blue Devils last year. Puff Johnson, a lefty, misses from the corner. And Love got the rebound, but the officials will say that's Duke basketball. And Banchero got the Blue Devils off to a great start. A.J. Griffin has helped as well. Here's Paolo outside. And Griffin noted for 3 from just inside the arc, and you couldn't get a better start in Coach K's last appearance in the Dean Dome. And you know that he couldn't stay away. Roy Williams, 3-time national champion in North Carolina, in the house tonight. There is George Karl, great player and coach with deep Carolina roots as well. Eric Montross, glad to see he's not bloody. We're calling the game on the radio network for the Tar Heels. And Mickey Krzyzewski, Mike's wife, is here, Holly.
Well, that is not typical. She said that she has not been to a game here at North Carolina since the one after the Dean Dome opened. I checked it, and that was in 1986. She said, I wanted to be here, of course, for his last, but even more so for these young players on this team. So many sophomores and freshmen have never been in this moment. Coach K's granddaughters are here for the very first time, a very special family moment.
Well, North Carolina getting cut up on the defensive end. Just a little rub screen up top, and Wendell Moore Jr. wide open underneath.
Caleb Love, a wild shot that was bothered by Mark Williams. Here comes Banchero.
And one way to keep an opponent out of transition is run good offense, and that's been difficult for North Carolina thus far. Got an offensive foul using the off arm, A.J. Griffin.
That was Griffin's first foul. Called by Ron Groover.
Not much there. I don't get that one. That was a phantom.
Groover, Bert Smith, Clarence Armstrong, our officials tonight.
Or Jeremy Roach putting good pressure on the ball, using an armbar, getting over that screen. Well, that is a tough shot by R.J. Davis. I mean, North Carolina is not, now they're not getting the looks they were getting earlier. They had open looks and missed. Now each shot has been tough.
North Carolina shooting almost 40% as a team from 3, but they've made just 1 of their first 7.
Caleb Love switched off onto Banchero.
Soft touch from Mark Williams, and he's got 5, and Duke has built a quick 14-point lead.
What has Duke missed? 1 shot? I mean, they're shooting 85% coming out of the last time out. I don't think they've missed since then.
That's right. There's 7 out of 8 from the floor, Jay.
That's hard to beat.
And Roach, trying to keep that pressure on, is called for the foul. Duke is going to go to the bench.
You're going to have to back cut some of this pressure, because Duke is denying 1 pass away, getting out in the passing lane. And really, the way to combat that with the pressure release is to backdoor it.
And even more defensive prowess could be coming in with Theo John and Trevor Keels, who is a steal machine. Keels with 9 thefts in his last 3 games. Manick with a man in his face.
Well, he loaded that one up quickly. But North Carolina awfully small on the floor without Armando Bacot in the game. Puff Johnson going to pick up a foul, chesting the ball handler. Manick, whenever he sets a screen, he is going to pop. Set the screen. Caleb Love went to the basket. He just popped out to the 3-point line, and he was ready to shoot when he caught it. He doesn't just prepare himself to shoot. He catches it to shoot and makes the defense take it away from him.
He's hit a couple of threes. Roach the high lob. Manick with the defensive play, but Keels keeps it on this end for the Blue Devils. Keels buys a little time. John with the offensive rebound. There's Roach with a strong drive, and it's stuck in the rim.
As Bill Rafter used to say, a neck ball. We led the nation in that.
Joey Baker coming in for the Blue Devils. You saw Hubert Davis looking for a little something to keep him going. Now Groover making sure that Baker is checked in properly. North Carolina, you got to feel as if they'll settle down after a while, start making some shots, but this Duke defensive pressure is making it harder and harder as Carolina got off to the slow start.
Well, Carolina's got to get a piece of the paint, and without Bacot in there, it's a lot more difficult. But right now, their offense pushed even further out, but that's give you a driving lane.
Well, having great defense, team defense. Wendell Moore Jr., who's been sensational on that end of the floor, involved in it.
Wendell Moore is Duke's top playmaker. He's their leading assist guy. Initiates offense oftentimes. Now Leaky Black on Banchero.
Leaky working on him, forces the turnover. Davis just lost his footing and fell down. Now Moore on Manek. And the layup.
North Carolina gets a turnover and a transition opportunity. It winds up with a Duke layup. And that was an example, Reese, with Banchero playing with the ball instead of making a quick, decisive move against Leaky Black. He wound up turning it over as a result.
Manek has been the offense, and Moore is going to be called for the foul.
Now take a look at Paolo Banchero here when he's going up against Leaky Black. A lot of dribbling between his legs, crossover, another crossover, and as a result winds up turning it over instead of just make a quick move, either blow by or give the ball up, and then go down into the low post where he has an advantage in size and strength over Leaky Black.
Carolina has sent Kerwin Walton, number 24, into the game. He's an excellent perimeter shooter, though he hasn't really played that well this year. Had a sensational freshman season. Was 42% from behind the arc last year, but his production has been off. They sorely need some offense. If they could get some off the bench, it would be helpful.
Well, Kerwin Walton is a catch-and-shoot specialist. Shot 42% last year, a North Carolina freshman record. But he has struggled to find his range, only shooting 32% this year from three.
And another turnover as Caleb Love just lost it.
Just trying to do too much. You know, there's not, for North Carolina, there's not the ball movement and player movement they need against this pressure. You're seeing a lot of dark blue bodies, and you're not just going to, play with the ball and get by. You're going right into help. You have to pass and cut. This is a good passing and cutting team. They're just not doing it right now, and Duke's pressure is the reason why.
That was one of the things the Carolina staff talked about. They had to get some paint penetration. When they have ball and player movement, they can score on anyone. But Duke has been an exceptional defensive team, leading the ACC in field goal percentage defense and three-point defense.
Well, their defending of the three has been excellent.
And the shooting of the three is not bad either from Trevor Keels, his first bucket of the night, and it's 24-8.
You cannot go under those screens and exchanges. If you're going to go under a screen, Trevor Keels is just going to stop and pop.
Love, cross-court pass. Duke gets a hand on it now in transition. Banchero to Moore. And one.
Right now, North Carolina is just getting worked. And poor offense has led to Duke transition offense. A bad pass because it was a tough drive with nowhere to go. It's deflected, and all of a sudden a 3-on-1 and a reach and foul.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by H&R Block. Get the expert tax help you need, and in part by the Sonic Patty Melt. That is for a limited time only at Sonic.
I just came back for the win. Lot of new money in my hand. Go on, tell a friend and tell a friend. They say success is the best revenge.
This is Coach K's last ride, and apparently he came to Chapel Hill driving a steamroller, shooting 73% in the first 8 minutes and change of the first half. Already an 18 and now 19-point lead over North Carolina.
And look, Reese, North Carolina obviously has only scored 8 points, but they don't have anything in the paint thus far and have not been to the free throw line a single time. And they have to start moving the ball in order to move the defense. Then they can get some cuts, reverse it. But coming back with Armando Bacot, I think Hubert Davis had to do that and take the risk he might pick up a third foul. You can't keep him on the bench and play defense on your best player that long.
Bacot is fouled this time by Mark Williams. It's his first. Bacot picked up a couple of quick ones. He's North Carolina's force inside. He's been a double-double machine, and with the big deficit, they had to get the big fella back in the game. Still a lot of time here in the first half to work this deficit, but the Tar Heels have to try to find something that's effective on offense. Brady Manek has been effective. Leaky Black keeps it alive for a moment, and North Carolina will retain possession.
Well, North Carolina is not the offensive rebounding team they have been in the past, but they are still a good offensive rebounding team. And they're a very good rebounding team overall. They out-rebound their opponents by over 10 a game.
Over the course of the season, you haven't gotten many second chance shots against them, but those days when Carolina's top offense was throw it up and try to get the offensive rebound, it's not quite that. They can't get the offensive rebound this time as Williams clears it away.
Well, North Carolina in the past played two low-post big guys. Now they're playing Armando Bacot, mostly a low-post big guy, but Brady Manek is a pick-and-pop guy. He's a perimeter big that stretches the floor. It's just a different team makeup.
Back to work is A.J. Griffin. Griffin already with 9, 29-8.
He got an angle on Leaky Black, and it's difficult for Bacot with those two fouls to come over as a weak side shot blocker.
Love dribbles away from the screen. H. Jones is checked in, number 34 for Duke. Here's Kerwin Walton getting heels in the air, but Joey Baker with the steal. Another turnover for the Tar Heels. Baker gets love in the air and scores.
Well, Joey Baker was outstanding in Duke's game against Clemson. Made a huge bucket with a shot fake drive and a hook shot in the last minute or so of the ball game. That was a great shot fake. Came off 2 feet. Shot fake, let the defender fly by. And that's what North Carolina needs, is Armando Bacot to assert himself on the offensive end.
And Jay, if he's able to do that, maybe that can get the Carolina guards started. North Carolina's starting guards, Caleb Love and R.J. Davis, have yet to score. Combined, they score nearly 30 points a game.
And what Carolina really needs are some defensive stops. And right now, they had to switch, and this is something that A.J. Griffin can drive.
Griffin for three. Tar Heels seeing if they can put together another productive trip. Here's Manek. Kerwin Walton, Heels trying to scratch their way back closer. Here's Love. His shooting woes continue. The crowd trying to give Carolina that energy, eager for something. Can't quite get it to go down.
Well, Caleb Love, I think 0 for 5 in this ball game, and Duke doesn't get the ball over in 10 seconds. So quick turnover. But Brady Manek, because he is such an outstanding perimeter shooter, he's got shot credibility. Little shot fake. Mark Williams leaves the floor, and that opens up a driving lane for Manek. And nobody steps in to take a charge or bother him. Just an easy 2 for the transfer from Oklahoma.
His first experience in this Duke-North Carolina rivalry. He's been the guy doing everything he can to try to keep the Tar Heels at least in the same realm, same universe. Here's R.J. Davis. He's bumped by Roach and won't go, but R.J. will go to the free throw line.
And Davis is somebody that needs to get going for North Carolina. His last 2 games, he's averaging just under 18 points per game. And coming into this one, he was 7 of his last 12 from three-point range. He's hit over 43s on the season. And he's a primary scorer for this team that needs to get untracked.
Davis misses the first free throw. This is an excellent free throw shooting team. JRJ had a game earlier this season, went 0 for 10 from the floor against Virginia, and Hubert Davis sent him a text to tell him what a great game he played, and he said, "What are you talking about? I missed all my shots." But he pointed out the other things he did well, and he responded next time out with 21 against Georgia Tech, and he's played well offensively in recent games, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Davis is a high school teammate of A.J. Griffin. Boy, Theo John wide open. They missed him the first time. He should go to work on Bacot, see if he can pick up that third foul.
Griffin working on Manek. Manek made it tough, and it's not tough enough as Griffin is into double figures with 11.
Well, A.J. Griffin is so straight. It's hard to believe he's 18. He and Trevor Keels are 18 years old. Another turnover for Caleb Love.
And now 5 turnovers. Banchero driving, going up strong, gets a shot blocked. Leaky Black on the push. Bacot.
That's the Carolina transition that Duke was concerned about. Off the block shot. Davis with a terrific shot fake and drive, and Bacot, as all big guys should do, got to the front of the rim and made himself available.
Theo John, the transfer from Marquette. Bacot stepped in and he drew the charge. Carolina wants to score in transition. They want to play fast. They think that's where Duke could be vulnerable.
Well, especially when you have to grind it out against this half-court defense, but a good job after the block shot. And it was an excellent drive by R.J. Davis after that little shot fake. Brings help. All of a sudden, Bacot, front of the rim dunk. Mondo Burger.
Just as soon as we finish here, another Sonics blockbuster game. Kentucky, number 5 in the country, taking on Alabama. We saw the Wildcats last week at Kansas. Perhaps the best performance any team has turned in, given the opponent, given the venue. Sonic blockbuster coming up next on ESPN. Oscar Tshiebwe, he gets all of the rebounds. Jaden Shackelford, 4th in the SEC in scoring. Alabama won both meetings last year. They've never won 3 straight from the Wildcats.
Carolina going with a little horn set. Got a switch early on. An awfully difficult shot. The turnaround 2 from Brady Manek. That means North Carolina's going to have to play defense again. Carolina's got to get this around 10 by halftime.
And Carroll loses the handle, but Moore there to collect it.
And this is probably a better matchup for North Carolina to put Leaky Black on Banchero.
There is Armando Bacot's first rebound. He averages nearly 13 per game. Manek from 3.
That was a great find in transition by Caleb Love. Under control, he's turned it over 3 times, but found Manek stepping into that 3 in transition.
Manek into double figures. The lead is 15. Moore loses the handle, but there's a whistle that you can barely hear as Carolina blue crowd desperately wanting their team to get going.
Brady Manek and R.J. Davis, the first guys you have to pick up in transition. Just late getting to Manek, and he loads it up quickly. And he has been shooting with a great degree of confidence. Last 2 games averaging 20 points, 9 of 16 from 3 coming into this one, and he's adding to it quickly.
Well, Brady Manek keeping North Carolina in this game, and I asked Hubert Davis about getting him in the transfer portal and what made him believe in him. He said, well, he's a big that can really shoot. I've always liked bigs that have that shot and can really stretch the floor for us. And he said, more than that, he's a 10 out of 10 player, but he's a 10 out of 10 person. The only regret I have in signing Brady Manek is that I don't have more years to coach him than just this season.
Holly, he's fit in well. I mean, Hubert has raved about the way he's assimilated to North Carolina and the way they play, and he's really been the only bright spot for the Tar Heels in the first half so far.
Yeah, the North Carolina guards have not been productive at all in this game. Little carry. Trevor Keels wanted to pass it, and the lane got closed off, so he had to put it back on the deck. So that's a carry.
And 5th turnover of the night for Duke. Each team even there.
It's so deflating for North Carolina to get a stop and then come down and miss a shot. They've got to start getting some scores consistently.
Manek somehow salvaged that. That looked like a turnover about to happen. R.J. Davis absorbed some contact and scored.
Well, that was a really smart play by R.J. Davis. Looked like he was going to come off a dribble handoff, just turned the corner and got to the rim.
Griffin's had an answer all night in the first half, not this time. Manek with the rebound.
Griffin should have driven that ball. He had Armando Bacot switched off on him. Bacot wanted him to take that shot. Drive him.
Bacot playing with 2 fouls in the short corner, won't go.
Yeah, the shot selection for North Carolina. These are shots that Carolina can make. Armando Bacot can make that shot, but now was not the time.
Every trip seems like it's at a premium. Trevor Keels from the corner, air ball. Davis misses. Bacot offensive rebound blocked by Mark Williams.
Boy, Williams right up there with Walker Kessler of Auburn as one of the most intimidating shot blockers around the rim. Blocks over 3 shots per game.
Might be a few among the Carolina faithful thinking that Walker Kessler could be in this game tonight. He played his first year at North Carolina before transferring to Auburn. Banchero can't get it to go, and Duke has left the door open a little here.
Well, Banchero had Leaky Black down in the post. Why he didn't stay there is puzzling. But right now, this is a matchup, Banchero versus Leaky Black, that Banchero should post.
See if they do it this time. Banchero hops to the outside. Acrobatic shot by Wendell Moore Jr. and he now has 11.
Well, saw that lane. Mark Williams was going to set a little high cross screen for Banchero, but that opened up the baseline drive.
Bacot wanted it. Black cut off. Now Armando's got it. Manek an open 3. Brady Manek has 14 of North Carolina's 23. The problem is they're still down by 14.
But that's why Hubert Davis recruited Brady Manek to stretch the floor. All of a sudden you got all of Duke's big guys in the lane, all 5 guys in the light blue, and then Brady Manek wide open for the corner 3.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Merck. Man, what a scene we had for College Game Day this morning. We've been here a number of times over the years. I don't remember a better crowd. Keep halftime reports coming up. Holly Rowe with LaFonso Ellis and Seth Greenberg.
Okay, LaFonso, let's start with offense. What do you have to say about the offense?
Well, Caleb Love's got to settle down. Over this 4-game winning streak, he's averaging 19 points a game. He's a little bit rattled right now. They got to use him as a screener, allow him to be able to get down the lane, get a foul, get to the foul line, see the ball go through the rim, and that'll help his confidence.
That's right. 3 early turnovers for him is hurting as well. Coach, you like the defense of Duke, though.
Yeah, Duke's ball pressure's been absolutely terrific. It's as simple as Duke's getting the shot they want. Quite honestly, Carolina's not. But they better get Leaky Black on Paolo Banchero, because that's the best matchup to contain him.
The Blue Devils have missed 7 of their last 9 shots, and they just turned it over. R.J. Davis.
Carolina this season has not always reacted particularly well to pressure, but that was a great shot fake by Leaky Black. That's the second time Mark Williams has left the floor on a jump shooter. This is a big 2 minutes in this game. If Carolina can get a couple of stops, couple of scores, this game will look a lot different in the second half.
As he has throughout the first half, the freshman A.J. Griffin has an answer when Duke really needs it. 14-point lead inside 2 minutes to play. Griffin is at 6 of 8 from the floor and has 13 points.
Brady Manek looks a little tired out there. He's not had a break. Good pass inside and a great post-up and duck-in by Armando Bacot. They can play some high-low with Manek and Bacot in there.
Duke has some more depth up front really throughout the team, but Mark Williams just picked up his second foul. Bacot has been playing with 2 for a while.
This looked like a little cross screen, but Manek came up top to set up the high-low. And Bacot got low and right into the hip of Mark Williams. He's going into halftime. This 1-4, it's minute 45, is a huge time period for North Carolina. You know, they can't let Duke stretch this out at all. They've got to eat into this lead to have a good chance in the second half.
Making free throws, something Carolina does well. Bacot makes the front end of the 1-and-1. A guy who's had 3 20 rebound games on the season, just has a couple. Some of that is attributable to foul trouble, and trying to make sure Armando doesn't pick up a third before halftime. He'll go to the bench. Justin McCoy, the transfer from Virginia, checked in. Kerwin Walton's back. It's a 12-point game with 1:43 to play in the first half.
Leaky Black still on Paolo Banchero.
Banchero has been quiet after a torrid start.
Banchero needs to take Black down in the post.
Griffin lost it off his foot, and Carolina has a chance to get to 9 or 10 if they can have a successful trip. 7th turnover the first half for the Blue Devils.
Give North Carolina credit. The Tar Heels, while not seeing the ball go through the net, have tightened up defensively. That was a good job by Manek to come over and help. They had 2 on the ball with A.J. Griffin. He tried to back dribble and then wound up turning it over. Good ball movement.
R.J. Davis. And Griffin has the rebound for Duke.
And those are the open shots. Early on, Carolina was missing, and you saw the exasperation coming back by R.J. Davis. He knew he's not going to get a more open shot than that.
Both Davis and Love have struggled offensively in this first half. Here's Banchero for 3. Manek and John fighting for the rebound, and a foul is called inside.
There's John going over the top. Not a good foul by Theo John. That's going to send North Carolina to the free throw line with the opportunity to cut this to 10. This goes, he just a little hook there on Brady Manek. Not a great opportunity to get the ball, maybe keep it alive, but just not a good foul.
And it's his second, Jay, so we got a couple of frontline players for Duke with 2 fouls. And to that end, Theo John will go to the bench, and Bates Jones returns, the graduate transfer from Davidson.
I'm not sure Brady Manek has come out of this game. Can't really afford to take him out, but he's got to be a little bit gassed.
Manek makes the first end of the 1-and-1, an ACC Big 12 Big Monday doubleheader on ESPN. At 7, you'll see these same Duke Blue Devils against Virginia from Cameron Indoor Stadium, and then it'll be Kansas and Texas at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Manek makes 1 out of 2. The lead at one time was 23 in the first half, and the Tar Heels have scratched back, and they're just down 11.
Tried to get an early post in the corner for Trevor Keels against R.J. Davis. Davis did a very good job sitting on him and not allowing it.
Jones for 3.
Now Carolina can get the last shot of the half.
And Jay, after that start, a chance to go to the locker room if they were to make a field goal here, down by single digits. When it was 23 and they looked threatened to be blown out of the building. Clock's getting deep. Davis against Keels. It has been a tough offensive first half for the North Carolina backcourt. But Mike Krzyzewski's team got off to a hot start, led by 23. Carolina fought their way back in at its 11.
But getting it to 11 is not bad at all. You know, we had talked about them getting it down to single digits, but 11 is a manageable number for Carolina in the second half, given how poorly they played on the offensive end in the first half with Bacot with those 2 fouls early.
Holly Rose with Jon Scheyer.
Here with associate head coach Jon Scheyer, you've played in this rivalry. Your young guys hadn't been here before with this kind of crowd. How do you think their composure was?
Well, we did a great job. Our guys did a great job coming out, showed poise. Obviously, Carolina made a run at the end. They're a good team. It's a 40-minute game, but proud of the way we started off.
Brady Manek has been deadly from 3. How can you run him off that 3-point line?
Yeah, well, we had to find him in transition. You know, he gets it off quick. A couple of those plays in the half court, you lose him for 1 second and it's off. So we need to stay disciplined on him. And he's a guy, really, that kept him in it. It's going to be a main guy in the second half.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, Holly.
And Holly, Brady Manek with more than half of Carolina's points, 15 of their 28. Duke with the lead. After the break, we'll have the Jeep halftime report. Welcome back to Saturday Prime Time, presented by H&R Block. Duke and North Carolina, first half largely controlled by the Blue Devils. A.J. Griffin was spectacular in the first half. He had 13 points, and the Tar Heels really would be in trouble, as if they aren't already, if not for the stellar play and shooting of Brady Manek. The Oklahoma transfer, 15 points, outscoring the rest of his teammates. He's at 39-28. Duke lead at the half. This is a sonic blockbuster game. It is always a game that stands alongside Jay Billis. I'm Reese Davis, sitting in tonight for Dan Schulman. So Duke had a chance maybe to put this thing away, but Paolo Banchero got off to a great start and then went quiet.
Yeah, he only had 5 points. I think Paolo Banchero has to stop being a finesse player and be a power player. And if Leaky Black stays on him, take Leaky Black down in the post and assert himself down where he's got a physical and size advantage. And for North Carolina, give the Tar Heels credit for getting this lead down to a manageable 11 at halftime where they're in striking distance. But Brady Manek went all 20 minutes in that first half. He was outstanding. The question is, will he wear down at all in the second half? Is there enough gas in the tank down the stretch?
A sonic blockbuster game, Duke and North Carolina. And the Tar Heels draw closer. Banchero's 5 points that you mentioned, Jay, came in under 2 minutes in the first half, and he went over 18 and a half minutes and didn't get anything. And right out of the gate, right to the bucket goes Griffin. He's got 15.
He is starting to show a complete game. We know he can shoot it, shoots over 50% from three, and he's made, 35 of them on the year. Good backdoor cut, just couldn't complete it.
Ball rolling along the baseline. It'll be Duke ball. Holly caught up with Hubert Davis.
Well, Coach, you had a lot of faith to put Armando Bacot back in with those 2 fouls. How did that pay off?
Had to. He's our guy, the most consistent scorer down low on the post, and I trusted him that he would go back in the game and do a positive thing on the offensive end, but from a defensive standpoint, play defense without fouling.
Caleb Love, an important part of your offense. How can you get him some confidence here?
Well, they're pressuring our guards, and it's affecting our guards. And one of the things that I talked about is if you were in the park and somebody's pressuring you, just go by them. Whatever play that we're going, be a basketball player and make plays for yourself and make plays for our teammates. They'll do a better job of that in the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
One of the things Carolina has to do is figure out what to do about A.J. Griffin, who had another 3, and the lead is back to 16.
Well, with Leaky Black guarding Paolo Banchero, that means Brady Manek has to guard A.J. Griffin. That's tough for him to chase him around. And he's a perimeter player, gives a little shot fake and drives by. What a great block by Leaky Black.
Banchero saves it, gets it to Williams, who had 2 fouls in the first half. There's Griffin again, trying the lob, and perhaps he should have gone ahead and shot it, and Banchero will be called for the foul.
Yeah, I think A.J. Griffin knows it, that he should have shot that ball. But the question really for North Carolina with Brady Manek, this is a lot of minutes for him to play. He's not had a break. He's got his hands on his hips right now, having to chase around A.J. Griffin. That is a difficult matchup for a 6'10 forward.
And this North Carolina team is not deep. Really only going 6 or 7 guys, with Anthony Harris, Dawson Garcia not being available.
And because of that lead, Duke was able to substitute in the first half.
Bacot working over Williams, the ACC's leading shot blocker, and he affected the attempt from Armando.
That's one of the things that is not kept on the stat sheet. Shot changes and shot bothers, and he changes and bothers a lot of shots. And Banchero's trying to get down in the post, but Black is fighting him.
Griffin does shoot it this time, and he is feeling it. A.J. Griffin, another 3. He's got 21 points. He's hit 3 and 4 from behind the arc.
Bacot having to switch out on him. Had to give him space.
Manek with a wild shot, almost to desperation when wanted to call, pleading his case with Ron Groover to no avail. And Duke is starting the second half, Jay, much in the same manner that they started this game.
Well, and it's been A.J. Griffin. Now he's got Manek able to drive it.
Griffin pulls up and scores.
Now that is a really difficult matchup for Brady Manek to have to guard A.J. Griffin.
And Hubert Davis needs a quick timeout. They had scratched back to 11, and Duke scores the first 10 of the second half to push it back to 21.
This has been a game of matchups, and the most difficult matchup for North Carolina is Brady Manek on A.J. Griffin. The little ball screen, the switch, Bacot couldn't get out, then he drives Manek, able to make the tough shot over the big guy from Oklahoma. It's been all Duke to start the second half.
Our good friend Dan Shulman is with his family mourning the passing of his father, Arnie. As Dan pointed out yesterday, Arnie, a model father and grandfather, big Toronto Blue Jays fan. I'm sitting in for Dan tonight, and we offer our prayers and condolences to him on the loss of Arnie Shulman.
Well, Dan spoke so highly of his father, and he was able to spend so much quality time with his dad, Arnie, after he was diagnosed with cancer. And that's the saving grace, I would say, that Dan was able to spend so much time with his dad and his family, and all our thoughts are with the Shulman family in this difficult time. Dan was here in Raleigh and flew back to be with his family when he learned the news.
And keep our thoughts with Dan Shulman and the entire Shulman family. The baseline out of bounds. Mark Williams with the flush, and the lead is back to 23. It was a high water mark for the Blue Devils in the first half.
Nice little back screen by Jeremy Roach. Needed a switch, or at least to bump that cutter, and didn't get it.
Caleb Love finally with his first bucket. He'd been 3 of his last 24 shots from the field over his last game and a half, and the Tar Heels need him to get going and do it in a hurry.
And he was so good against Duke last year, averaged over 22 points in the 2 games that the Tar Heels played against the Blue Devils, winning both.
And Caro was trying to work on Leaky Black, as you said, and Leaky did a good job on defense. Jeremy Roach penetrating and scoring.
Boy, nice job by Mark Williams to change the angle of that screen to let Roach downhill. And Brady Manek having to stay in front of him, but he had to give him space that allowed that little floater. Good move.
R.J. Davis, a beautiful shot over the outstretched arm of the great shot blocker Williams.
And that's exactly what Hubert Davis was talking to Holly Rowe about just after halftime, about making a play against the pressure.
Banchero gets Leaky in the paint and can't get it to go, but the tip is good for Wendell Moore.
Wendell Moore has a history of making tip-ins in this building.
A couple of years ago, had the game-winning tip in overtime, a furious Blue Devil comeback, an improbable one of the great chapters in all of the trips that Mike Krzyzewski has made, 10 miles or so door-to-door from Cameron to the Smith Center. Banchero left the floor, still able to scrap and knock the ball away from Manek. And it'll be a jump ball, possession arrow, as with North Carolina, and there's some unpleasantries and frustration evident.
Out of bounds underneath Jeremy Roach with a little back pick. Nobody steps in to get in the way of Mark Williams. An easy dunk. That's a 7'7" wingspan, by the way.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Sonic Patty Melt. For a limited time, only at Sonic. Unlimited is the offensive potential of A.J. Griffin, a career-high 23. Oscar Tshiebwe of Kentucky getting set to lead his team in Coleman Coliseum against Alabama. Tshiebwe, 16 double-doubles. Armando Bacot has one more, but Armando might need to get busy, or Oscar's going to have a chance to catch him tonight. And Carolina has to get busy if they're going to make a run. Manek has been the lone offensive bright spot, but you've mentioned you think he's starting to look a little worn down.
Well, he's tired. There's no question. And how could he not be with all the responsibility he had to take, playing all 20 minutes? He's not come out in this game. And look, he's banging bodies down low with Theo John. And this is where Banchero needs to be, down in the low post. But Leaky Black doing a very good job, forcing him to take a little fall away, going away from the basket rather than toward it. But Banchero's done a good job on the glass. He's got 9 rebounds. but I think he needs to assert himself inside more and be more of a power player rather than a finesse one.
As much as we talked about Banchero, and understandably so leading into this game, the idea that he would have 5 points and Duke would be up 55-32, hard to imagine. Banchero scored 5 very quickly. That one went all the way down before somebody hit the eject button.
Well, A.J. Griffin for Duke has been spectacular. He's got 23 points.
A career high. He only averages 9, but you've been sensing that he is coming an offensive force, and there's Caleb Love with his first 3. First Tar Heel other than Manek to make a 3 tonight.
Carolina going with a little zone look right now. It's a tandem 2-3 zone to start.
Griffin, that is way, way off. Griffin had only missed 2 shots tonight, but that one might count for missing 2. That was wide left. It's like the wind caught it.
Well, as soon as North Carolina went zone, Mike Krzyzewski got Joey Baker up off the bench. That provides another shooter on the floor.
Baker's had a couple of double-figure games in recent weeks, giving Duke yet another offensive weapon. Bacot at the rim, and Baker fouled him.
Well, Bacot just set a little ball screen up top and took out Wendell Moore Jr. and then rolled right to the basket. And nobody picked him up. Trevor Keels needs to step in and stop his forward progress there, but he was trying to guard a replace man that was coming up from down low.
Armando Bacot with 8 points tonight. He's made both of his free throws.
Bacot has a great motor. He's had 3 20-rebound games this season, as I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, but he averages close to 13 rebounds a game. He's far and away the leading rebounder in the ACC and averages over 4 offensive rebounds per game.
We've had some great rebounders in college basketball. You'll see Oscar Tshiebwe in the next game. He's been in a category by himself, but Bacot hasn't been far behind. Keels a great give to Theo John for the flush.
There you can see the strength of Trevor Keels on that drive. He had a defender right on his shoulder and able to lock him in, and just a little drop off to Theo John for an easy bucket.
Love going to try it again. A lot of Duke jerseys surrounding it. No chance for the offensive rebound for the Heels. Heels and Roach, longtime friends and teammates. Baker's got it inside. We'll get a 3-second call pretty soon. Joey doesn't get out of there. Instead, he turns it over. Manek pass fake, 3-ball.
Wow.
Do the Heels have a run in them? Back to 18.
Back to the zone after the made bucket.
Here's Jeremy Roach. John with the tip. Manek pulls it away, and the foul's called inside, and I think they're going to get Theo John.
Well, heck of a rebound by Brady Manek out of the zone. Oftentimes it can be difficult. Watch this pass fake. Got Jeremy Roach to jump just a little bit, jump to the ball. And look at the strength that Trevor Keels to keep Caleb Love on his hip. Draws Armando Bacot and dumps it off to the Marquette transfer, Theo John, for the easy dunk.
That foul, Jay, by the way, was called on Banchero. I saw John react. I think he thought the foul was called on him, but it was called on Powell. Strong drive, and there's Love with the bucket.
Well, Armando Bacot setting screens out top. He's just picking off Duke defenders. Mike Krzyzewski asking for a foul that he's leaning in.
Banchero is fouled.
Got Manek. Armando Bacot was in front of him. Manek on the side. Probably an unnecessary reach. Make him finish over Bacot. But Armando Bacot has been setting screens in the middle third of the floor. And he's rattling some molars there. But Caleb Love taking advantage of it, taking it to the other side of the rim away from the shot blocker, Mark Williams.
best revenge. I just came back for the win. Lot of new money in my hand.
57-41, Duke leading North Carolina. They've been in control since the opening moments. This crowd continues to stay behind the Tar Heels, trying to will them back into the game, but North Carolina's tried playing a little bit of zone. They just haven't been able to find many answers to it.
Well, Duke has disrupted all of North Carolina's rhythm. So the Tar Heels haven't been able to find a rhythm. That's really what basketball is about. It's about establishing your rhythm and disrupting their rhythm. And thus far in the ball game, Duke has done an excellent job defensively of disrupting any rhythm that North Carolina can find on the offensive end.
And their ball handlers have been pressured this year. North Carolina has had issues from time to time, and we've seen that manifested time after time tonight. Banchero, his first points since the first 90 seconds of the game, he jumped out of the chute as if he were going to control this game. And it's been A.J. Griffin primarily, a runner from Caleb Love is no good. Wendell Moore Jr. and Love exacerbates the problems by fouling him in the open court. Saturday, NBA primetime matchup. Julius Randle and the Knicks taking on LA. AD, Russ, and all of the Lakers. 8:30 Eastern time on ABC. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. It's on ABC and on the ESPN app.
A lot of Kentucky on that promo. Julius Randle, Anthony Davis, number of Wildcats in the NBA.
Watch the NBA Wildcats in that game. You can watch the current day Wildcats against Alabama following our game here with Tom Hart and Jimmy Dykes.
Alabama led by Jaden Shackelford. They played, I was at Auburn the other night watching Alabama and Auburn go against each other.
There's Banchero right in the middle of that defense, knocking down his first field goal since the early going.
And that's where he can really be a handful, because he can be a playmaker in the middle of that zone.
I mentioned Auburn. We'll see them next week. College game day. Auburn, #1 team in the country, escaped Georgia today. Texas A&M coming in next Saturday. Carolina needing something. The veteran Leaky Black with a strong take.
What an adjustment after the contact to be able to kiss that off the glass. A great decision by Leaky Black and a fabulous finish.
And Leaky Black is one of the seniors for the Tar Heels. We didn't have another year if things worked out, and he chose so. Jeremy Roach with the answer. He has 5.
North Carolina overcommitting to those passes around the perimeter. And just a few passes, get it back to the middle. And a step-in 3, pretty easy.
There have been so many answers for Duke, Jay. Even Jeremy Roach, who came into this game having hit just 5 of his last 21 behind the arc, getting in on it. And Carolina's guards just can't seem to find the rhythm. Paolo chases it out of bounds. But how about Leaky Black, who's known as a defensive passing guy? He's added some offense lately.
Yeah, terrific pass fake, got an open lane to the basket, but this finish against an outstanding shot blocker in Mark Williams. Just an excellent mid-air adjustment by Leaky Black.
Headed toward the 10-minute mark, remaining here in Chapel Hill. Duke by 20. Bacot, a chance for the three-point play.
Bacot just behind the defense in that dunker spot. The pick and pop out top. Can't switch it, had to stay with Brady Manek as he popped toward the top of the key. And a little bit of overhelp maybe by Mark Williams that allowed that lane to the basket by Armando Bacot.
Bacot now into double figures. The number that really stands out, though, is only 3 rebounds. They're one of the top rebounders in the country and the best rebounder in the ACC. And then again, Duke shot so well, there haven't been a ton of defensive rebounds available.
Carolina with some full court pressure that gives an advantage to North Carolina, or to Duke, as they break that pressure.
Carolina gets back, stops the fast break opportunity, jumping in the passing lane with the ball still winds up in Griffin's hand. Williams offensive board.
Good pass.
Banchero finishes it off.
Boy, after an offensive rebound, that's always the best time to shoot a 3. And that was a big time pass by Mark Williams. He didn't have the easy stick back. Look out to the 3-point line, because Carolina's not thinking about playing further defense after the offensive board.
Man, I mean, Jeremy Roach just got taken apart on that screen, and another 3 ball goes down. Manek has 21.
Well, you have to call that screen out, but it's awfully difficult in a loud building. But how many guys have gotten picked off by Armando Bacot at that top of the key screen?
It was a dangerous area for a guard, and Roach got on the business end of it, but that's the way to answer it. Just go right to the bucket and score.
Well, Duke spreading the floor, taking Armando Bacot away from the rim. Brady Manek not a shot blocker. A little horn set for North Carolina.
Less adventurous as Roach got picked again. That time not quite as violent. But Carolina crowd trying to stay in. It's 17-point deficit for the Heels. And Duke calls a timeout. Just over 8.5 to play. Back in 30 seconds to Chapel Hill. Coach K's last visit to the Dean Dome. Well, Duke has a 17-point lead. You know, the Blue Devils have only lost 3 games this year and lost them by a total of 8 points and had the lead in the final 2 minutes or so in each of those games.
No, this is a formidable team. You know, Duke has a great opportunity this year. They're among probably 8 teams that are title favorites, and I would put Duke in that group of 8, you know, along with Auburn and Purdue, Gonzaga, teams like that. They've got a ton of versatility. They're very good defensively. It's sort of an old school Duke team that pressures the ball and gets more out in passing lanes. And North Carolina has not had success in trying to back cut or pressure release against this Duke pressure.
Banchero along the baseline scores.
That's where he needs to go. You know, he's bigger and stronger than an excellent defender, Leaky Black, but his advantage is down in the post. So take him down there and get to work as a power player.
And there's Kerwin Walton, and a much needed 3 ball for him.
When Kerwin Walton gets his feet set, he drills.
42% from 3 last year. We documented his struggles this season in the first half.
There's Banchero getting the screen to get him in the low post. Griffin didn't give it to him.
Every time the Tar Heels have tried to put together a little streak, somebody's had an answer. Often it's been Griffin. It was not this time, but it was Mark Williams who did indeed drop it on everybody's head and has a chance for a 3-point play.
And North Carolina having to switch a lot of these actions. That put Bacot on Griffin, and that left Brady Manek all alone to have to box out, and he just couldn't get a box out. You see Griffin going right around Armando Bacot, and then Brady Manek, maybe a tired reach to give the foul.
Well, in his first and only rivalry game here in Chapel Hill, Brady Manek is going off 6 of 9 from 3-point land, and he comes by that shooting stroke honestly. Here's the family secrets from his parents.
Catch the ball, ready to shoot.
Keep the ball in the palm of your hand and quick release. As Hall of Fame basketball coach Dan Hayes would say, finish high in the cookie jar.
Guys, mom, Tina, dad, Kerry, and older brother, Kellen, are all 35% or better 3-point shooters in all of their careers. Mom and dad played at Oklahoma Christian University, and mom's the best shooter in the family.
But Brady might be able to lay claim to it tonight. There is Brady's mom, Tina. Let's see if we're reaching up and admiring the shot, hand in the cookie jar.
He gets those cookies pretty quickly when he gets his feet set. He's had a great game, but a lot of responsibility has been on his shoulders to carry the offense. Starting guards for North Carolina, R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, 6 of 20 from the field in this game, 1 of 8 from 3. And that's been a big factor in the deficit that North Carolina is facing against Duke.
1 of 2 on the free throw line. Manek has hit 6 3-pointers. He's 6 of 9 from behind the arc. The team is 2 of 10.
Duke doesn't want to take the air out of the ball, but there's no need to be in a great hurry to get a shot.
And Wendell Moore is fouled in the corner by Caleb Love. That's his 4th.
Paolo Banchero much more effective in this second half. Going inside, he's got 13 points and 9 rebounds, a couple of assists for the game, but has 8 points in the second half. Most of them, he had that one relocation 3 after the offensive rebound, but he's been in the paint much more.
Mike Krzyzewski in his final trip to the Dean Dome, getting a virtuoso performance from his freshman A.J. Griffin, who just drove down the boulevard and added his career night.
Well, that's one reason Hubert Davis had to go to zone. And North Carolina has not been able to keep Duke out of the paint. It has been largely whatever shot that Duke wants on the offensive end.
This rivalry tends to bring out the right emotional pitch for teams. And with all of it surrounding Coach K's final season, and he wanted to make it about the team and the game and the rivalry, and rightfully so, but you heard the Duke players talking in the days leading up to the game. They wanted to put on a good performance to send Coach K out in Chapel Hill in the proper way, and boy, has Griffin done his part.
Well, Armando Bacot having to take A.J. Griffin, that is not a good matchup for North Carolina. And Griffin able to turn the corner coming off Mark Williams. Brady Manek late getting over there, but that leaves Manek exposed to try to protect the rim. And that's not his strength. And A.J. Griffin, already a career high with 25 points, looking to add to it from the free throw line. He's been spectacular in this game.
Well, guys, A.J. Griffin is actually just starting his 8th start of the season tonight. This freshman has come in here unafraid and doing a great job. He was a little bit slowed in preseason by an injury, so he hasn't been in the starting lineup. But when Trevor Keels went down and Jeremy Roach was in and out of the lineup, they gave him an opportunity, and Griffin has taken that. He's shooting 50% from 3, so it's going to be hard to get him out of that starting lineup, even if Duke's healthy now.
Well, he's the only player in the Power 5 conferences that's shooting over 50% from 3 with over 50 attempts. 11 players are doing it nationwide, but from smaller conferences, the others. And you know, it wasn't just the early season injury. He was injured in high school. He missed almost 2 years.
He appears to be the epitome of health tonight. He's going to add to that gaudy three-point percentage. If things continue this way, he's shooting 60% tonight, having hit 3 of his 5 shots. We're inside 6 minutes to go. Duke firmly in control behind a great night from Griffin. Banchero started them well, and second half's been much better offensively, though, but lost control on the way up on that one.
Well, there's the post isolation for Paolo Banchero. Just missed the shot, but if he anchors himself in the low post, I just don't think he can be guarded one-on-one in the post with the matchups North Carolina's putting on him.
The lob to Trevor Keels draws a lot of contact inside.
You know, instead of posting a big guy under the basket, you can post Trevor Keels against a guard, and he can lock you down with his strength and just throw over the top.
Well, you mentioned his youth earlier. He is a strong, wide, thick dude.
He's like a truck, and he's so athletic. He looks like a linebacker or a running back in the NFL.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by H&R Block. Get the expert tax help you need from H&R Block. Trevor Keels looks like a block of granite. It's been that kind of night for Tar Heel fans who came in here more than 21,000 strong, eager to send their rival back to Durham with a loss in Coach K's final visit, and it does not appear to be in the cards. It has been a strong, tough-minded performance from Duke tonight. R.J. Davis loses his footing again. Manek.
Got to think he's a little tired. I mean, that looked like a tired shot. He was drilling those the first 25, 30 minutes of the game. But I don't think Brady Manek's been out of this game.
He has not, and I don't think Leaky Black has either.
But that was a long pass by Bates Jones, who was an outstanding quarterback in high school.
Is that running the family?
That's an athletic family. You know, Daniel Jones, his older brother, obviously played football at Duke and was the quarterback for the New York Giants, but they're not even the best athletes in the family. Their sisters are big-time athletes.
And Bates transferred here after a good, strong career, and Davidson has Sister played field hockey at Davidson. I think his sister is on Duke women's soccer team.
Yeah, an outstanding goalie. 6'8" quarterbacks, kind of hard to defend. You can see over the line.
Mark McGuire's brother Dan is a 6'8", I believe, 6'8", maybe 6'9" quarterback.
Jeremy Roach. There's Jaden Shackelford for Alabama, their leading scorer, averaging close to 18 points a game. The lefty can really shoot it. But man, he is good off the dribble too. People think that Alabama, you have to worry about their three-point attack, and they can make threes, but they shoot close to 58% on their twos. They're really good attacking the paint off the dribble.
And those two teams who will play next, boy, Jeremy Roach just keeps getting crushed on those screens. At the top, this time it was Manick that got him.
Jeremy Roach is one of the most improved players on the Duke roster. I mean, last year, as a lot of freshmen do, had some turnover issues, but coming into this game, his last 4 games, he had 27 assists, only 4 turnovers. And he's become a much better decision maker and playmaker at the point guard position.
The other thing too, they hadn't gotten a lot of scoring out of him, but he's got 7 tonight. Not that that's a huge game. He did struggle from shooting and made a jump shot earlier, and Roach is going to take a break.
And Roach is their best pressure defender, putting pressure on the ball.
Brady Manick getting a rest and getting a well-deserved round of applause from this North Carolina crowd, who appreciate the valiant effort that Brady has turned in tonight to do everything he could to try to keep the Tar Heels in this thing.
That's the first rest he's had while the clock's ticking, isn't it?
It is.
That's a lot of minutes for a big guy to play, for anybody to play.
And he's not just being a standstill shooter. He's had to bang bodies inside in the post, too. From the corner, it is Trevor Keels for 3.
Give credit to Bates Jones. Duke does a good job of passing out of that trap. North Carolina trapping off the screen action. And that was an excellent pass by Bates Jones.
And Keels is going to be called for the foul. And this is an impressive performance. You see a few Carolina fans may be giving up on it. The Heels don't have a quad 1 win yet. They've been sitting sort of close to that bubble area. Came into the night, according to Joe Lunardi, among the last 4 buys in the NCAA tournament.
Well, this is a tournament team. You know, North Carolina's going to make the NCAA tournament, but they're playing without Dawson Garcia, who had to go home to Minnesota with some family issues, family illness issues, and that would provide them another versatile defender. But that really shortens the rotation, makes it difficult. And Carolina's really only 7 deep.
As you think back, Jay, it's happened from time to time. As Keels just knocks down another one to add more insult to the injury.
Well, this just passing out of that, you know, you're going to trap. That puts 2 on the ball. And Duke's done a very good job, especially Bates Jones, just reversing it out of that trap.
Keels is the 4th Blue Devil in the double figures. Bacot is called for the travel largest lead of the game. 3:34 remaining until Duke goes home with the victory. A curtain call season in the final ride for Mike Krzyzewski from Durham to Chapel Hill, and the entrance where Carolina Blue faithful gave him a hearty round of boos. Did not present him with a gift, not because they don't appreciate him. They've honored him for milestone victories before, but they wanted, in keeping with the rivalry, to keep the way it is. And Coach K gave himself a present with a brilliant performance from his team as we take a look at how Duke is doing on the road. Brought to you by Hampton by Hilton. And tonight on the road, quite well. I'd say up by 28. You see what's ahead for the Blue Devils, including a game against Virginia, who won today against Miami in Cameron on Monday night. There have been a few lopsided games from time to time in this rivalry, though you don't expect it, Jay. How does this one stack up in terms of the road team coming into a house and dominating the way Duke has?
It's hard to remember a more dominating performance. I mean, North Carolina's never led in this game, not for 1 second. And give credit to Wendell Moore Jr. because, you know, he's had a really good game in this one. He's got 13 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. And last 2 games coming into this one, he was 4 of 16 from the field. wouldn't call that a slump, but he was not playing his best. And he's playing his best in this one.
We're going to get some different guys into the game for Duke as the freshman Jalen Blakes has checked into the game. Joey Baker has returned. On that subject, the Blue Devils' largest margin of victory at North Carolina, the pre-K era in 1964, 35-point win, but he does have a 29-point win in 2002 on the resume.
Wait a minute, he wasn't coaching in 1964? I'm not sure that you might want to check that. I think Larry Brown was playing for the Tar Heels back then.
It's probably around the right era. Last 10 North Carolina coaches, including Hubert Davis, only 3 of them have won their first game against Duke, and Hubert will not join that list tonight. R.J. Davis continuing to fight in the crowd that has left here in the Smith Center. Still supporting their team, though certainly disappointed and the way this game has gone, and things could not have been better for the Blue Devils tonight.
And the star of the show for Duke was A.J. Griffin. I mean, he was spectacular. 27 points, 11 of 16 from the field, knocked down 3 of his 5 3-point shots. North Carolina did not have an answer for A.J. Griffin.
How about that? I mean, we knew Bates Jones called for the travel. Look, we knew he would be a difficult matchup, but the focus was how would they match up with Banchero. But the problem became how would they match up, and there is Paolo, how would they match up with Griffin?
Well, the matchup on Banchero was maybe the biggest factor in the game early, because North Carolina chose to put Armando Bacot on Banchero. He picked up 2 fouls early. And talk about a rhythm-disrupting event in the first half. He had to go to the bench, and you know, Carolina, give them credit, they fought back to 11, but in the second half, Duke came out 10-0 and effectively ended the hopes of a Carolina comeback.
Kerwin Walton back into the game. Some young guards have checked in from North Carolina as they play out the string. There is Blakes going strong. Bates Jones with the offensive rebound. This will be one that North Carolina will have to try to regroup from. They've had a couple of blowout losses, but those have come on the road, blown out by Wake Forest and by Miami in back-to-back games. Now they go to Clemson after this, after what will be an embarrassing effort, and Coach K calls timeout to make a substitution, and coming into the game for the Blue Devils is Michael Savarino, his grandson, Coach K's grandson, checking into the Duke Carolina game here in Chapel Hill.
Well, this will be North Carolina's 7th loss. And in their losses, Carolina is giving up 90 points per game, over 52% from the field to their opponents, and 44% from 3. And this will just add to those stats in losses.
87-61, final minute of this chapter of Duke Carolina, coming up in 30 seconds. Duke a minute away from victories. We take a look at our net gains today, brought to you by SoFi. And A.J. Griffin, we've been extolling his virtues for quite a while now. What a game.
Yeah, career high and a career game on the biggest stage. You know, players are, their legacy is often determined by how they play in this Duke Carolina game. And we said at the top, it is not good enough to come ready to play in this game. You have to come ready to fight. And really, Duke had more fight and delivered a knockout blow to start the second half. And it's never been a game after the first 3 minutes of the second half.
So 46.9 seconds left, and Mike Krzyzewski's grandson is in the game right now, Michael Savarino. I did an interview via Zoom for some Duke people not long after Coach K announced his retirement. I believe it was his first interview. And during the course of that conversation, I asked him how he told Michael that he was going to retire. And he said he called him into the office, and because of the work that he had put in, he'd already planned to put him on scholarship. So he told him that. He had told him he was going to retire, and it was an emotional and tearful moment for him. And when Mike was relaying the story, even over the Zoom, then you could see the emotion and the choke up and the pride that he has in having his grandson on this final team, and he has the ball now, bringing it up for the Blue Devils.
It's pretty nice of him. My grandfather never consulted me on his retirement. He just did it.
I didn't say he consulted. He just, I think informed would be the proper word.
And a bucket from the young guard, DeMarco Dunn, a freshman from Tucson, Arizona, as first of what he hopes will be many baskets in his North Carolina career against Duke. But this is going to be a winning night for the Blue Devils, and an impressive one in Coach K's last ride into the Dean Smith Center. And time has run out. 87-67 in a game that was completely dominated from start to finish by the Blue Devils.
Tap to buzzer, Duke was a stronger team, and they exploited matchups, but their pressure defense was really the difference in the game. They disrupted North Carolina's rhythm from the opening tap, and A.J. Griffin with 27 points. The freshman was absolutely spectacular.
Final score from Chapel Hill, Duke wins it 87-67 for Holly Roan, Jay Billis, and our entire crew. Send our condolences again to Dan Shulman. I was sitting in for him tonight. Mike Krzyzewski's final trip to the Dean Dome was a winning one. Good night from Chapel Hill, now to Tuscaloosa, Kentucky and Bama.